Caught my ex cheating, so I set her up. Now her life's in shambles and she still blames me. That's pretty much the title. I felt like something was off, so I went through her phone and found messages between her and a male friend that seemed suspect. They were discussing meeting up when she'd never mentioned it to me, flirting, and talking in coded language about sex, etc. There was nothing overt but still pretty sketchy. I figured she'd just lie and bury things deeper if I confronted her. And since she was actually cheating, I set up a fake Instagram account and sent her a message. I said I knew she was effing her friend, had the receipts, and was going to contact her partner in 3 days, whether or not she confessed. The next day she sat me down and admitted to cheating, but wouldn't tell me who it was or how long it had been going on. She was sorry, she loved me and wanted to make things work. It meant nothing, blah blah blah. I told her that I already knew and that it was me who had sent her the message. My ex lost it, and I had to leave the apartment and go stay with a friend to get away from her. She was gone, along with most of her clothes, when I came back the next day. She completely trashed the place while I was gone. This all happened a few weeks ago, and it's been pretty tough ever since. It sucked having to find a new place to live and separating our stuff while dealing with feeling like crap. To make it worse, I had met the guy several times, shaken his hand, bought him a drink and thought he was harmless, etc. Mostly I feel like an idiot for having trusted her. I've never cheated on anyone, and I assumed my ex was cut out of the same cloth. My ex is adamant that I'm an idiot for what I did to her, but I don't really feel like I owe her anything. Do I? Am I the idiot here? Some relevant comments. I don't know about being an idiot, but you're an idiot for still staying in touch with your ex and giving her opinion of you any consideration. I know idiot is harsh, and I don't actually mean it in a nasty way, but more for hyperbole to drive home the point. We'd been together for 4 years and had joint bank accounts, a cat, a car, furniture, etc. It's not easy to untangle all of that unless you're willing to talk. Is the kitty okay? My furry little dude is safe and sound with me. Unless you are married, you can just take however much you want from the joint accounts, then remove your name. The cat stays in the apartment, you keep the furniture and change the locks. Have a restraining order against her using the trash department as the reason. Have the landlord remove her from the lease if she is on it, for the same reason. I'm sure they don't want someone that would do that having access to the property. Tell her the things she trashed are hers. She didn't kick holes in the walls or anything, she just made a mess. All my clothes were pulled out and thrown around the place and she knocked things over. It took a couple of hours to get it cleaned up, but she hadn't destroyed anything valuable. If you took photos of the aftermath, it wouldn't matter what the extent of the damage was. It would be evidence of her unhinged nature. The only thing that changes is you need a different reason to not give her any furniture once she's legally out of the place and not allowed to return. Block and go and see, you owe her F all. She's been violent in the past, things like slapping me, refusing to let me leave when she wanted to argue. She really likes to argue. Or trying to kick down doors when I've tried to get away from her. I thought it was better to just take the cat and leave, so she could have her meltdown without pulling me into the drama. After that final conversation, her nonsense was no longer my nonsense, and there wasn't anything in the apartment that I couldn't replace. My ex is adamant that I'm an idiot for what I did to her, but I don't really feel like I owe her anything for what you did to her. Wow, she's desperately trying to find an offensive position when in reality she's victim blaming. I applaud you for what you did, which was to catch her cheating and call her out. Guess the other dude can continue making his deposits because she's morally bankrupt. You should send him a celebratory bottle of wine as a gift for getting her out of your life. Does the other guy know she's a cheater? If not, there's a future r/plot twist revenge story here. Not the idiot. Yeah, he knew about me. We'd met on several occasions and he'd been introduced to me as a friend. He's just as gross and morally bankrupt as her. They deserve each other. I don't really feel like I need or want any revenge. I just want her out of my life. Update. So, I think my original post must have been shared on Facebook or something because my phone has been blowing up. It's mostly mutual friends and acquaintances asking if I posted it. I told a few people about how I caught her cheating, and I guess it wasn't hard to put 2 and 2 together. My ex also tried to call me about 100 times. I know she knows my throwaway username because she sent me a screenshot of the post along with a long abusive message threatening all sorts of things. I blocked her everywhere after that. I want to clear a few things up. Going through her phone was wrong. I get that. To be honest, it's the first time I've ever done anything like that in a relationship. And it was only because there were so many things that gave me bad vibes, e.g. late nights out with vague explanations, being caught in various lies, sleeping with her phone under her pillow, or leaving it face down on the charger, etc. I left the apartment because my ex has a history of violent histrionics when she doesn't get her way. I didn't want to put myself in a compromising situation where she could either hurt me or make up stories about me hurting her. I had a bug-out bag packed and ready to go before I hit send on the message, just in case. She didn't do any real damage to the apartment, just threw my stuff around while having a tantrum. It took a few hours to clear up, and nothing valuable was damaged, so I figured it was easier to just let it slide. I had to stay in contact with her while we divided up our joint finances, furniture, and various other stuff accumulated over a 4-year relationship. As of yesterday, that's all done, which is why I waited several weeks to make the initial post. She is now blocked everywhere. Yes, I took the cat with me. We've both been crashing at friends' places while I look for a new apartment. He's doing great, he was always my pet anyway. My ex tolerated him at best. I told my ex that I was the one who sent the message because I wanted her to know. I suppose I could have played that hand differently, but I wanted the satisfaction of seeing the look on her face when she found out. It didn't feel that great in hindsight. I'd probably go back and do that differently if I could. I wasn't planning on airing her dirty laundry on social media. Does count? Because I wanted to be above that sort of juvenile nonsense, but it seems like the horse has bolted on that now. People know, and I don't think there'll be much else to update on after this. I don't intend to ever speak to her again, and I doubt her ugly little man has the backbone to come after me. Jay, I know you're reading this. I hope you also read all the comments in the first post. They were savage, they were disgusting, and I am so glad I was able to see your true colors before I wasted any more of my life on you. Good luck with the pathetic goblin you chose over me. I don't know if I should feel more sorry for him or for you. In any case, people of your quality deserve to be together. Oh, and she's all yours now, buddy. Good luck with that. Yesterday, while I was out, my ex-girlfriend Jay showed up at my buddy's place with a box of my stuff and asked to see me. He said she looked like crap. He also said she had a fat lip. I have to admit that I almost caved and called her to see if she was okay. I'm glad I didn't. My ex's sister each texted and asked if we could talk. We always got along, and I have no issues with Jay's family, so I called her after I got home. We talked for about an hour. She wanted to apologize for her sister's behavior, but she also told me about some of the things that have been happening over the last few weeks. Jay has been staying with her sister since we split. In the meantime, the guy she was effing has been coming around regularly. They got into a huge fight yesterday and Jay lost her crap. Her sister had to pull her off him. A's elbow connected with my ex's face while he was trying to get away from her. It turns out he's not single, and his girlfriend found out about Jay. It also turns out that my ex wasn't his only side piece. After H kicked him out, my ex-girlfriend spilled her guts. She's been lying to her family about everything. She told them that I cheated and she broke up with me. H said that my ex had confided in a couple of her friends about the way she got caught out. One of them saw the original, "Am I the idiot?" post and sent it to her. Since the details lined up almost exactly, her friend must have shared the post with other people too. And from there it kind of snowballed. H also said that she's given my ex a week to find somewhere else to stay. So that's it, I guess. Update. I didn't think I'd be posting here again, but people have been asking for an update. And some things have happened since my last post, 2 major things actually. The former girlfriend of my ex's affair partner reached out. "Hey Meredith." She tracked me down on Facebook and asked if we could meet. I was hesitant at first, but curiosity got the better of me. We met up for a drink at a local bar. And what was supposed to be a quick chat turned into a 3-hour conversation. She filled me in on Andrew's yes foo no more fake names, history of being a rapacious cheating piece of crap. It sounds like the guy is a sex addict with no sense of self-control. Meredith found out about him effing my ex through mutual friends who knew about the original post. It was the second time she'd caught him cheating, and she'd had enough, so she threw him out. I felt bad for her. She seemed sweet, but it was obvious that this situation had screwed her up. But that's not the main reason I'm posting. The second thing that happened is complicated, and I'm not sure how to feel about it. I've been spending time with my ex's sister. We've been talking and hanging out semi-regularly. Haley has been amazing through all of this. We were always friendly when I was dating Joe, but I kept her at arm's length. Seeing how she's handled this mess has really shown me what an incredible person she is. At first it was just venting and talking crap, but lately our conversations have been going late into the night. We've been talking about everything. Our hopes, fears, childhood memories. It's like I'm seeing her in a whole new light. Last night things took an unexpected turn. We were on the phone at 2 a.m., both a little tipsy, and Haley confessed that she's been having feelings for me. The truth is, I think I feel the same way. We haven't done anything physical yet, but there's definitely a connection there. I'm torn between feeling excited about this potential relationship and feeling guilty as hell. Part of me thinks this could be something real, but another part wonders if we're just trauma bonding or if it's some kind of twisted revenge against my ex-girlfriend. I have no idea how to handle this. I've really caught feelings for Haley, and I don't want this to be about revenge or some crappy rebound. Would I be the idiot if I hooked up with my ex-girlfriend's sister? Some comments don't do it, FFS. Try and date outside the family. There are billions of women on the planet. Surely you can find one not related to your ex-wife. It's tacky, it just is. It will be a future pain in the ass. You want to spend the holidays looking at your ex-wife? And then there is the drama and fighting it will cause, because it will. Why the F would you want to invite this crap into your life? It's like quasi-incestual, the ick factor is high. Let's say you get married and have kids. Now you've got kids in the crap show. Why? Why not find someone new and have a normal drama and trauma-free life? Every kid wants to live and experience soap opera holidays and family events. Find a different way to scar your potential kids. Your feelings are probably not real and just motivated from your breakup. You probably would feel this way about any woman helping you through this crap. Seriously, y'all are soulmates. Rebound relationships are a real thing. Hell, I could keep going with reasons why not to, dude. Just let it all go and move the F on. You will be happier in the long run. Yes, the idiot for making this fake ass crap up. People you know are reading this and you know that. So no way would you post about it before anything happens. All exactly my thoughts. If you like drama, go for it. Otherwise, I think it's weird that she likes you. I don't understand how people are attracted to people their siblings have slept with. It's weird. And there are literally millions of other women out there. Personally, I'd shut it down. Do you want to be the guy who is banging his ex's sister? How do you envision your ex at family gatherings? Think she's going to be cool with it and be mature? Do you want to drive a wedge between two girls who grew up together and are bonded for life? Trauma bonding, my guess. And do you want to spend Thanksgiving and Christmas at the same table as your ex-wife and her new boyfriend, and go to their wedding as the uncle to their children? The only way to avoid it is to split Haley from her family. Story 2. I'm sorry if this is jumble or formatted weird. Our most recent fight just happened, and I'm still upset. Plus, I've never posted something this big using Alien Blue. We've been married for 4 years, together for 7. We have 2 kids. A daughter 4 years old and a son 2 years old. I'm really not sure where to start. My husband is an overgrown child. He just doesn't know when it's time to be serious. This is the only problem in our marriage. He's extremely loving, affectionate, and kind. He loves being a dad and loves our children more than anything, and they love him as well. He is constantly playing with them, and I think this is where issues start to arise. My husband cannot understand when it's time to put playtime on pause and be serious. When I say he's in playtime mode with our children from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, I'm not exaggerating. This results in extremely hyperactive children in the morning, when I'm trying to get our daughter ready for kindergarten. It's extremely frustrating to have to struggle to get her fed, cleaned, dressed, and out the door on time for school, where he then will drive her. At night, this results in hyperactive children who can take up to 2 hours to settle down and go to bed. By then it's way past their bedtime, and they will sometimes wake up grumpy in the morning because they didn't get enough sleep. He will sometimes even be egging our children on at night when we're sitting with them in bed, trying to wind them down to sleep. It's incredibly infuriating, and I will tell him to stop because I'm clearly trying to get them to sleep, and all he's doing is keeping them up. He laughs and says he's just having fun. Husband doesn't do hard discipline. He tells our kids to stop fighting each other or to stop touching fragile objects, but when it comes to timeouts or taking away things like dessert, certain toys, or TV time for the day, etc., he all but refuses. He will leave me to be the bad guy, and I'm absolutely sick of it. I'm tired of feeling like I'm the mean mom who doesn't like fun or has to ruin their fun, but he just won't do it. I've told him that he needs to stop leaving all the hard discipline up to me. He says he will, but then leaves it all up to me again the next time. I dread when the kids are older and things like grounding become a thing. My husband is constantly breaking our children's toys because he wants to play with them. He's broken a little kid trampoline we got for them because he wanted to jump and play on it with them. He's broken our daughters and sons, of those toddler-sized motorized cars by sitting on them and riding around with them. Like I would look out the window and see him riding around on these things, having the time of his life. Meanwhile our kids are standing on the edge of the yard watching him and waiting for their turn. He's even broken a little kid basketball hoop by pretending to be on a pro basketball team and doing dunks which bend and break the actual hoop. Our daughter's birthday was last month, and one of our friends bought her a little scooter. My husband broke it within a week because he wouldn't stop playing and doing tricks on it every time he stepped outside the house for something. Our daughter was devastated because she loved that thing, even more so because she loves our friend who gave it to her. So to her it was extra special. I also feel terrible that this toy, which my friend spent her money on, was destroyed by my husband before my daughter barely got any playtime on it. Now my husband is 6 feet and about 200 pounds overweight. He has absolutely no business playing on these children's toys, and I've told him time and time again to stop playing on them because they aren't made for a person his size, and that he will break them. And then he does, and he'll sheepishly carry the broken toy into me and say sorry. But then he's back at it again, destroying another toy shortly after. We got our daughter a bike for Christmas so she can start learning, and I don't even want to give it to her because I know he'll ruin it for her like he always does with their toys. These are just some of the bigger broken toy examples. There are also countless smaller things of theirs he's broken, like balls, dolls, little cars, a dollhouse, a slide, etc. He's always making our kids play with him, even when they clearly don't want to or just want to chill out, relax, and sit and watch a movie. This mostly applies to our son, who is much more introverted and sensitive than our daughter, and usually prefers calm and quiet interaction over the loud and hyperactive playtime my husband always does. A handful of times he has frustrated and overwhelmed our son by continuously pushing son to play with him, resulting in son starting to cry because he just wants to be left alone. Now finally, on to what prompted me to post here. My husband is always telling our kids and everyone else that our kids are his best friends. Since our daughter started learning to talk, he's trained her to answer the question, "Who's your best friend?" with Daddy. Our son is in early talking stages and he is starting to train him to do this as well. At first I didn't see any issues with this and actually thought it was cute. But our daughter has made a really good friend, a 5-year-old female. I'll call her Emily, at school this year. Our daughter is always talking about Emily and asking if Emily can come over. She can go to Emily's house today. My husband asked our daughter, "Who's your best friend?" And our daughter paused for a moment, got a huge grin on her face and said, "Emily." It looked like my husband had just been given the worst news of his entire life. He asked her, "What?" And our daughter started giggling and said, "Emily again." My husband said, No, who's your best friend?" And again, still giggling, she says, "Emily." My husband's face went blank and immediately removed himself from her, and went into the other room. Our daughter seemed a little confused but mostly undisturbed and went back to watching cartoons. I followed him and asked him what was wrong. And when he starts talking I realize he's beginning to cry. He tells me that he's supposed to be our daughter's best friend, and that he can't believe she would toss him aside like that. Now, up until now, like I said, I thought this best friend thing was cute. I never realized exactly how serious my husband took this. If I had, I would have tried to put a stop to it early on. But then again, how exactly can you tell your husband to stop calling his kids his best friends anyway? I was a bit shocked at this point, and I admit I didn't use as much tact in my response as I probably could have. I asked him if he's serious. He says, "Of course I am," and I tell him that he's the parent. He's not supposed to be a best friend to his kids. He's supposed to be the parent. And that he's 29 years older than our daughter. Of course, she's going to eventually make friends her own age and start considering them her best friend. He tells me, "I don't understand," and I told him he was being ridiculous and childish. He looks at me as if I just slapped him and tells me I'm being heartless. He accuses me of not wanting him to have a good relationship with our kids and leaves the house early to go to work. I have no idea what to do. I almost feel ridiculous because how can someone have an issue with their husband loving their kids? I feel insane and I haven't been able to talk to any friends about this because I feel like they'll all be so. You're mad at your husband for playing with your kids? What's wrong with you? But I just don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to address these issues with my husband in a way he'll understand, so he'll start being reasonable about them. I also feel extremely anxious about everything now because my husband and I have been trying for the last 2 months to conceive another baby. And now I don't want to bring another child into the world without having this mess sorted out. But I know telling my husband I want to wait on this third child will devastate him. TLDR. Is it possible to love your children too much? Because I think my husband might. And I have no idea how to get him to grow up and stop acting like a third child and start acting like a parent. Since it's being asked a few times, I'm just going to put this here instead of typing the same comment over and over. My husband's relationship with his parents growing up was, in his words, great. He has 3 siblings, all successful adults, and his parents' interaction with our kids now gives no indication that they are the reason my husband doesn't seem able to grasp parenting himself. Update a few things first. I just want to thank everyone who commented on my OP. I got overwhelmed with the amount of responses while on mobile. I had no computer when I posted and stopped replying, but I read every single comment and story. I've received a few PMs asking for an update, and I'm sorry it's so late. This update would be extremely long if I typed every single detail, and still it is kind of long, oops. So I'm going to try and condense it. I sat my husband down the night he got home from work after posting my OP, and we had a long talk. Again, this would be incredibly long if I wrote all the details, so I'm going to summarize and go in the order of my points I made in my OP. Keep in mind our talk didn't follow the order of my posts, so I'm sorry if anything seems confusing since it would have been discussed out of order. On not knowing when to pause playtime, I told him that I know he loves playing with the kids and I love that he loves playing with them, but that I really need him to work with me during bedtime. I also once again pointed out that their lack of sleep is making them grumpy and harder to manage in the morning, and that they're growing and need their sleep. He's had a couple of slip-ups since then, but he's cooled it down around bedtime now and makes more of an effort to help me with it. He started reading to them instead. I used to do it and he is 20 times better than me at it because they love the funny voices he gives the characters. On discipline, I told him it's not fair of him to constantly make me feel like the bad guy, and that no parent likes disciplining their kids. But they needed to learn and grow into good adults, and that I need him to be united with me on punishments. He's having a little trouble with this one but has been trying more, which I appreciate. On breaking their toys, I again told him that I know he loves playing with our kids but he needs to stop destroying their things. Then not only is it upsetting them, but it's causing us to needlessly spend extra money to replace things that we don't need to. I took this part of the talk to suggest we finally get a full-size trampoline like we have been talking about for a little while, and that he should dig out his bike from the garage so he can ride with our daughter when she learns. We're both probably more excited about the trampoline than the kids, though. We talk more about this topic, but these are the most relevant points. He realized he goes a little too far after I described the scene I wrote about in my op, with him riding around on their little cars while the kids are standing on the sidelines. I'm also happy to report he has stayed off our daughter's new bike, and has stopped making the kids play when they don't want to. He agreed that it wasn't cool of him to push just because he wants to play. I told him our kids are people, and just because they're kids doesn't mean they don't deserve to have their boundaries respected or time to themselves. And now on to the best friend thing. This was the first thing we discussed. Long story short, he was feeling hurt and generally having a little trouble accepting our daughter was growing up. This is really the first big thing she's done or said to show that she is in fact growing up, and he just wasn't expecting it and was handling it very poorly, which he knew he did. I took a line from a comment on my op and told him our children will have lots of best friends in their lifetime, but he will always be their only dad. This visibly comforted him, so thank you to whoever it was who wrote that. I took a suggestion from someone on the op and suggested that he call up his own parents and ask them for advice on how they handled watching 4 kids grow up and leave the nest. He really liked this idea and has since done so. I also showed him stories that commenters on my op shared about their relationship with their parents growing up. I told him that I'm not showing him these stories because I think he's going to become like those parents, but that I think it's important he see the children's side of things. These stories hit him pretty hard, which led into this, so I left something out of my op that I didn't realize was relevant. Lots of people asked how my husband's relationship with his parents was growing up, And I answered that it was great. However, my own relationship with my parents was horrible. Long story short, I don't get along with nor even like my parents, and I see them maybe once a year. Growing up was miserable to say the least, and it affected me for quite a long time. I was a huge ball of anger and resentment because of the way my parents treated me. I told my husband about all of this a few months after we started dating, so he was aware of everything from the start. My husband told me he told himself he would be the best dad he could be because he wanted our kids to have the childhood he knew I wanted and wanted for them. Now I started crying here and was a bit of a mess for a few minutes. It was honestly one of the most touching things anyone has ever said to me. I told him he is the best dad and I love him so much for it. Finding out that this was essentially the root of everything made it a lot easier to continue on with the rest of my points. Everything has been great since he really listened to what I was saying this time, and has made a big effort to help me out more, while also cooling it a bit with the kids. Him and our daughter have been riding around on their bikes together every weekend. I've also started learning how to ride so I can eventually join again. I want to thank everyone for commenting on my op, and helping me gather my thoughts. I thought a few things said about my husband were a bit extreme, but I realized that's something that happens when people give advice on a situation they only have so much info on. Talk to my husband, he's great, made me cry, all is well.